Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on policies, audits, and document storage within SchoolIP. Basically, we're recording the webinar this afternoon, and if you wish, a recording will be sent to all attendees, so you don't need to make notes during this actual webinar. Lots of other webinars are available from our website on www.deventioeducation.com/webinars. Do check it out. There's lots of things going on there, and obviously you can download any of the webinars that have happened on there as well. There are lots of other resources on our website, and again, they can be accessed just by going to www.deventioeducation.com. Do check out the insights. They're useful on there as well, and we're trying to add to those as much as we can. Now, if you're interested in having a further look at SchoolIP, you can, of course, go ahead and book a demonstration. You can do this online using an online demonstration by going to www.deventioeducation.com/schoolip/book-a-demo. Introductions then first. My name is Damien Roberts. I'm one of the directors and co-founders at Deventio Education. And you can see my contact details there beneath in terms of the emails and the telephone contact numbers. But also you can catch me on LinkedIn, there's my profile, and also on Twitter as well. We're fairly active on those platforms. And then we'd really like you to follow us in terms of our social media platforms with SchoolIP. So again, we're on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and also you'll find a selection of our videos on the YouTube channel as well. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the demonstration in terms of the new modules that are available within SchoolIP. So firstly, we'll be looking at the policies. So in terms of the policies, from the left-hand side of the screen now, I can select policies as a link. This is available as an additional module. And the first thing I'm going to do is show you some of the policies that are sort of being mandated for schools and academy trusts within the UK. So from the .gov.uk site, if I scroll down, in here there are a list of policies that are either for school leaders in schools, governing bodies, or the proprietors of academies' independent schools. And in here you can see a list of all of the policies that these institutions are asked to provide, including whether it's for local authority or academy schools, the cycle on which they are reviewed, whether it's annually or otherwise indicated there, and the level of approval that's required, whether it's from the individual governor, head teacher, or indeed the governing body. And as you can see on this list, there are any number of policies. There are lots of them. And again, I think this promotes really why we need a tool such as the policy management tool within SchoolIP to manage this process. Okay. So then within SchoolIP, what you're able to do is actually very quickly and easily to upload all of your policies. If you've got existing data, you can upload those into the system by simply dragging and dropping them into the system. Or I can add my policies one by one here at the top by using the button. Now, when I add a policy into the system, I'm asked for some basic details in terms of the information. So when was the policy created? Who is the owner of this policy? And also to give your policy a title, a description, and also specify whether this policy is relevant to the DFE, the trust, or indeed to the school itself. And then at the bottom, we need to indicate whether we want all staff to be able to view this policy. So is this a public policy that we want to be viewed by all? Now, there are other tabs of information here. So when we are reviewing the policy, we can decide how often we want this policy to be reviewed. So is it renewed on an annual basis, every 3-4 years, or a variable amount, or is it indeed a live document that is updated as and when required? So we can set a review date in here, and also we can stipulate whether that email is sent to actually notify staff that this policy needs to be reviewed. So that's quite important, that the system is actually prompting you about what could be well over 100 policies within your school, and it's advising you on when those policies are due for renewal and your review. And then when those policies are reviewed, what's the approval workflow? So who is the approval authority? Is it the governing body, individual governors, the head teacher, local authority, or the trust? And does the policy require approval at all? If it does, you can also specify who those approvers are. So you can choose from a list of staff within your school who must then approve any of these policies. Now in here then we're able to actually identify what the policy is. So you can type directly into the system if you want to write your policies within SchoolIP. And this includes all the normal formatting features you'd expect, including links, images, videos, tables, etc. Or I can link to an existing file. So if I have a Word document, a PDF that we've already created on our local file system or network, we can select that file and upload it into the cloud. And also, if it exists on Google Docs or Office 365, you can also link to it via the URL as well. So there are many ways in order to get your policies actually into SchoolIP. The final tab is just an area, so we can indicate which area this policy lies within. So that's how we would add a policy onto the system. And then these policies obviously are managed then in terms of who actually needs to be creating the policies, publishing them, and then obviously reviewing them on a periodic basis. And so what we're able to do is we're able to look at an individual policy, and we can see by the history here when the policy was first added, published, and indeed when it was viewed by key members of staff within the organisation. And then when we're trying to sort through what could be well over 100 policies, we can filter the data. So we can filter it to those where perhaps approval is required. We can filter to those that are published, or indeed where there is a review required as well. And you can, as you can with the rest of SchoolIP, you can set up the filters that are used here. So we can click the plus and we can actually choose our filters and decide what criteria we want to add, and we can save them as quick filters across the top. So this then becomes a tool really for managing all of your policies across the school or the wider trust, and enables you to have greater control and flexibility across all of the policies. I'll then move on to the audits. So the next module that we have developed within SchoolIP, working with a number of schools and indeed multi-academy trusts, we've developed these quality assurance audits and frameworks. So these are completely flexible. You can input your own forms and audits into the system. You can devise your own questions and the way that you want those audits to be actually answered. And so if I were to take, for instance, the sustainability audit in here. So what we've done is we've taken a sustainability audit. We've built up the questions that we need to be asking and responding in here. And then you can record your responses on this particular audit. So how are we performing in terms of the sustainability in the school? And what are the ongoing activities that we're undertaking in order to improve this situation? So when you're completing your audit, you can select the responses in here. You can also then link this to evidence. Now, the evidence could be files, photographs, videos that you can upload behind a particular audit that then back up some of the responses that you're providing. Or we can seamlessly link to any of the objectives and activities on our school development plan. So here on the development plan, we might be defining the workload, the activities where we're trying to improve and develop the sustainability of the school. And then the audits will show the history of the completion of this audit. So who was the last person to actually update the audit and indeed submit those responses. And then we get the status in terms of how many of the questions were answered yes, no, or partially met, perhaps within that particular criteria. At any time when you're viewing the audit, though, you can then flip from the audit view itself, here where we are developing sustainability. We can flip then by clicking the View dashboard at the top. And then this will give us a dashboard view about the particular questions or areas on our audit and the responses that we have provided. And so then very quickly and easily, you can drill down into those areas to see how you've responded on that particular audit. Okay. So those are our audits. Now, I've shown you there the sustainability audit. There are obviously, many uses for this in terms of safeguarding, in terms of the capacity for the school or the wider trust to improve. And you can devise your own forms and criteria, and then you can record those audits centrally. So again, you've got your evidence to back up perhaps some of your self-evaluation and your ongoing development plan activities as well. And we're working with a number of providers then to provide these quality assurance audits, whether it's Ofsted, whether it's safeguarding, NSPCC, etc. We're trying to talk to these external providers to see if we can gain as many audits as possible, and then obviously share those with the School IP community. Finally, then, we have also introduced a document storage facility. So we were asked about having a central area in order to store our documents. And this very simply allows you to drag and drop files in here. I can add a document or a folder, and we can create whatever structure we want in terms of our documentation. And then once you go inside a folder, you can have many documents or links in there as well, so that we can be uploading latest DFE guidance, training and guidance, whatever it happens to be. You can upload your documents and indeed set your folder structure in one central location. So again, School IP operating in the cloud. This means that whether you go to school or off-site, anywhere with an internet connection, you can gain access to all of your documents within the document storage facility within School IP. So very powerful there, really, in terms of recording all of that centralized documentation. So these are additional modules in terms of School IP, and they are priced based on the numbers of pupils at the school in terms of a sliding scale, so that we can obviously price this accordingly for small, medium, or large schools. The policies and the audits are available from £199 for that module up to £999, dependent on the size of the school. So again, there's a sliding scale between these two prices based on your number of pupils on roll. So policies and audits are priced accordingly and equally in their price there. The document storage is slightly less in terms of £99 or up to £499 for that centralized document storage facility. If you are interested in a quotation, a proposal in terms of these new modules, please do get in touch with me. I'll be obviously circulating this webinar. Get in touch via the contact details, and I'll be happy to either provide you with another demonstration and talk you through the functionality that's being introduced here, and also the pricing and a proposal for your school. So obviously you can see there are a lot of ways that School IP can help. If you need any help with your staff appraisals, development plans, or self-evaluation, give us a call. We're very happy, obviously, to help you and support you with the use of the School IP product. Customers, you can contact customer care at deventioeducation.com. We work 8 till 5, Monday to Friday, free telephone, email support. Please do get in touch with your support team and the customer success team, who will be happy to help. And the telephone number is 0333 0433 450. As I alluded to earlier on in the webinar, please do follow us on social media, join the conversation there. We're looking to build our audience online and obviously support you better. And that's the end of the webinar today. Thank you very much for your time.